Welcome to Builders Show Insider. Denise, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me again.
How's the show doing?
So the show's doing great. I think the exhibit space is sold out. It kind of goes back and forth. It's completely sold out, and then maybe there's a little bit of space that opens
we find
up.
space here and
We
there.
find space.
Right.
We find an inch somewhere to rudge something in.
Right.
It's going to be the biggest exhibit floor since I think 2009.
Nice.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. On the attendee side, we are tracking to be the same attendance as last year.
Which broke.
Which was the biggest attendance since 2009.
Right.
You're going to see a theme here.
Yeah.
We're about 1% ahead.
Nice.
So, yeah. And what we're seeing is there are fewer spouses coming. So
Yeah.
it actually means there are more
Paid
people coming.
Right.
Well, spouses pay too, but more business people coming.
Right.
So there are a few people out there that are leaving their spouses at home, which you should bring them. It's a great place to take your spouse.
There you go. Las Vegas or the show? Or both?
Both.
There you go.
Both.
All right. So I know while most people are taking the time off during the holiday season, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to describe it, the show needs to go on, right? So
right. This is definitely our busy season for anybody working on the show.
it's crunch time.
It's crunch time. We're 10 weeks out from the show
Right.
as of 2 days ago.
Right.
10 weeks out on Tuesday. We're in the throes of creating everything that people see on site. So we're working on the onsite guide. We do have the pre-show planner that
Right.
came out through Pro Builder and Pro Remodeler.
Yep.
And that is a great tool for people. And the show guide is just kind of an expansion of the pre-show planner.
Right. And we talked about this the first time you and I spoke. Everyone kind of waits the last minute.
Yes.
You really get a lot more from the show if you just take a few minutes ahead of time, peruse the pre-show planner, kind of get a better sense, a little bit more grounded as to what you want to do at the show, because it's amazing. I mean, you can't do it all, but you can come close if you plan ahead.
100%. So I've been going to the show for 22 years. And almost every year, I find out there's something else happening at the show,
Right.
even though I've been working on the show for 15 years. One of those things is the student chapter competition, which I know you and I talked about.
Those are fun.
Those are fun. I think we're going to try and get Greg Zick, who works here at NHB, on that.
Yeah.
Have him on the Builder Show Insider so people can kind of learn about it. And again, there are just all these really interesting industry things that happen during the show that I think if people know about it ahead of time, they can make plans to attend it.
Okay, so in that theme, what are some of the programs or sessions that that people are actually talking about, people are starting to get excited about?
So I think the one that I've heard people talk about most often is the session that's part of education. So people would need to have an Expo Plus education pass, but it's with Steve Young and Chris Weekly from David Weekly Homes.
Right.
And
Steve Young being the former quarterback,
player. Yeah.
49ers, if anyone's...
I know you're a 49er.
I'm a 49er fan, yes, coming from the Bay Area, that's right.
Yeah, I'm a Colts fan.
How they doing?
I think not well.
I shouldn't talk. My 49ers this year was horrible, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think not
okay,
well.
So we got Steve Young.
Steve Young and Chris Weekly from David Weekly Homes, and Mark Purcell, who I know you know,
Sure.
and probably a lot of people listening to this know. He literally stopped me in the middle of the holiday party and said, "This feels like a keynote, right?" And it's part of education. I think it's going to be really interesting. We've matched up people in the industry with icons in other areas.
Mhm.
I think they're going to talk about leadership. Yeah, it's leadership and culture.
Right.
So that's kind of a new thing this year for the show, kind of a melding of someone who's really expert in some area and then also pairing them up with somebody who's in the industry to kind of talk about how you apply those lessons
Right.
to our industry. And a lot of people are talking about that session. So I think that's one of the ones that will probably be standing room only.
Yeah, because I mean it's fairly unique, right? Because everyone has keynote speakers, and we've all seen them. And they're great motivational speakers, but they're only talking about what they did in the corporate world or what they did in the sporting world. So
Right.
the ability to mesh the two, basically as it's happening, right? It's not, oh, let me sit back and think about how this translates into my, my industry. It's happening in real time, right? Because both people are trying to figure out, okay, this is how this affects you. This is how it affects you, and it comes together on stage, which is, I think, it's kind of cool.
I think it'll be really, really great.
So what are some of the other like things that there's symposiums, right? So let's talk a little bit about the symposiums.
So something that's new this year is we have a custom builder and remodeling symposia the day before the show starts. And we did a remodeling symposia last year. This year is more based around the business side of the industry. It's just a one-day event, but it'll delve deep into a few different areas of business and productivity. Then the other thing we have, which was very popular last year, is building science. And so that's a one-day event.
Before the show starts.
Before the show starts. They both happen the Monday before the show starts on Tuesday.
Right.
As people register, they have to pay for them, separately.
Right.
But we do have a ton of people who are interested in building science at this point. I mean, as you know, it's the hot thing in our industry. So we're bringing in some experts. It's kind of the same crew that was there last year, but they'll be talking about slightly different things.
And it was a fun crew.
Yeah, they're great. They're very, very fun.
Yeah.
So those, I think, are two other things that people are very excited about.
Right.
And then, the campus will be a little bit different this year. The outdoor exhibits move over a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think just seeing what's happening at the Las Vegas Convention Center, it's, the new halls are just gorgeous. There's so much light.
Yeah.
So I think that too will feel a little bit fresh and new. Our opening night party is in a different location. So the opening party this year is at Brooklyn Bowl. We were there a few years ago. Yeah, it's really fun. It's a very interactive space. Obviously, it's a bowling alley.
Right.
And then there'll be all the usual highlights of just great food and beverage and just people the first night after the show, just hanging out, enjoying each other's company.
Very nice.
And these events they're not sold out, but if people want to go, they should start booking them. They always sell out before we get there.
Right.
Rarely do we have tickets for anything on site. And if we do, it's not one of these marquee events.
Right.
So that's where Brooklyn Bowl is going to be. Then the YPP party, which is our party for people who are under 40. That is at Old Red, which is a new venue for us. We've had that party in Orlando, but we have not had a party in the Old Red in Vegas.
So I do hear that the closing concert is going to be kind of cool. So who do you have teed up?
We have country music star Chris Jansen.
Nice.
He's supposed to be fabulous.
Yeah. Good show.
And, yeah, absolutely. Great show.
The theme here that I'm sensing is it's important to start doing these things early, right? Whether you're buying the tickets early, getting your tickets early for things, possibly coming in early for a symposium or whatever it is, you really need to start planning ahead. You got the planner coming out soon, right?
Well, the pre-show planner should have arrived. It's also on buildershow.com.
Okay.
And then the app releases January 28th. I think if people have a little time over the holidays, spending some time on buildershow.com or looking at the social channels and starting to make a plan, buy tickets, it just makes sense. You want to get the most out of the money you're spending for the trip.
Awesome. Well, another time. So this is our last podcast for the year. So first of all, and I said this in housing developments, but I'll say it here again. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. And we will come back again in January and we'll find out what more exciting things have happened with the International Builder Show, right?
Absolutely.
All right. With that, I'm Paul Lopez.
And I'm Denise Miller.
Thanks all.
Thank you.